I want to thank you for tuning in to part 2 to male hormone primer. What do I mean by male hormone primer? A lot of misconceptions out there. We see commercials today about low T. Seems like everybody's on the bandwagon. I've discussed the role of hormones in women, and we will be doing a female hormone primer as well, and male hormone issues for approximately 14 to 15 years, and an understanding and the value. I'm not necessarily falling into the category of an anti-aging guy. That's not this role, as you can see. I'm aging myself fairly rapidly. That's not the point. The point is, though, that I believe that many men are suffering mood disorders, depression, lack of a sense of well-being, obesity, central obesity, cardiovascular incidences, early onset type 2 diabetes. I mean, the list goes on. Premature atherosclerosis documented with lowered levels of free and total testosterone. This is about your health, guys. This is about your sense of well-being, not making you into some Superman. This is not just about sex drive and libido. Please understand, this is not just an anti-aging teaching video. This is about getting to the core issues of male physiology and having an understanding. In part 1, we went over all of the issues with the importance, and there are many more. I don't want to bore you. I could spend a half an hour easily on one of these teachings on the importance. Number 2, male hormone primer 2 is going to discuss today why is it low. And I started there. At the end of the last teaching, I talked about environmental types of estrogen, persistent organic pollutants, PCBs, phthalates, bisphenol A. All of them in some way, shape, or fashion have negative effects on human health and physiology. There is no question. Number 1. Number 2, we know that many of these chemicals that fall into the estrogen mimicking category have a huge impact on male reproduction, Leydig cells, which are within the testes, etc. So I'm just going to read to you very quickly just a couple of components that will support my thinking. Researcher U.S. Taylor at Yale University said that although we know that hormones have been linked to reproductive issues in both sexes, specifically now bisphenol A and phthalates, common chemicals found in household plastics, have gender-specific types of effects. BPA, bisphenol A, mimics estrogens while phthalates block testosterone's actions. Bisphenol A mimics estrogens, which is bad for men, implicated even in prostate health issues. Phthalates block estrogen activity, receptor site activity. BPA looks like estrogen. What he's trying to say to you is it has a chemical structure, when you look at the chemistry, that is almost identical. BPA mimics estrogen while the phthalates block the estrogen issues, but we know that the research that we're doing now focuses on uterine development, endocrine disruption as a result of its chemical structure. By itself, he says, it is a weak estrogen. Remember that as we get into these teaching. BPA leads to lowered testosterone levels in men. Journal of Toxicology Letters, researchers found that bisphenol led to lower testosterone production in laboratory animals, and the inhibition was dose dependent, meaning that the greater the levels of BPA, the lower the testosterone. It affects the pancreas, decreases insulin sensitivity, encourages type 2 diabetes. Negative effect of bisphenol A on male sex drive and reproductive tract development. Journal of Andrology show that bisphenol A affects sexual health in Chinese men. I have more. Don't want to bore you, but bisphenol A directly, this comes from Journal of Toxicology Letters 2010, April 15th, volume 194. Bisphenol A directly affects not only the Leydig cells, but also the pituitary gland. But the former may be impaired at even lower concentrations than the latter. We found that both bisphenol A and estrogen treatments decreased plasma, testicular, testosterone levels and plasma luteinizing hormone, which I don't want to get into. That gets into the technicalities of endocrinology, but I'm here to teach you today in this quick little scenario. First, the importance, primer one, the importance of testosterone. Number two, the rationale for why it's low. Because the question is, I've worked with 30-somethings, 40-somethings, major, let alone 50s, 60s, and 70s. I've had consults probably in the last couple of weeks with men about this issue. And one of the questions I always get, I'm 45. Why? I'm 42. My testosterone, here's the labs, look at this. What am I to do? Why? Number one, environmental chemicals. Huge issue. Just documented that for you. Weight and obesity. Many men with lower testosterone, not all, but many, are overweight, consume too much alcohol, eat too many types of bad fats, rancid fats, animal-based fats, deep-fried foods that encourages central adiposity, decreases insulin sensitivity, which is produced from the pancreas, causes a disruption and dysfunction in the ovaries of women, the testes of men, causes an imbalance. What starts to happen then as men gain weight in through the midsection, you begin to aromatize this testosterone that you make to estrogen via an aromatase enzyme. You aromatize it. Now that encourages more weight gain, more adipose deposition. You become fatter. Unfortunately, as this process unfolds, the less your lean muscle mass and the greater your fat and adipose tissue, it's a downward spiral. The more estrogen that you will make and produce in the fat cells, the less testosterone you make from lean muscle mass, it creates a negative spiral. This is why men that are overweight and have a huge midsection, or the bulk of their obesity through here, they're at much higher risk for not only diabetes, type 2 diabetes, heart risk, hypertension, atherosclerosis. The list certainly goes on. Talked about chemicals, environmental chemicals, and there's a lot of others. I don't even have time to get into. Heavy metals, arsenic is one of them. Cadmium as well, but arsenic is a huge player. Arsenic is an endocrine disruptor, disrupts the hormone production and hormone function as well. Weight and obesity we covered. Stress is next. High levels of stress, high cortisol production. You have to literally see the hormone as how your body makes hormones is through a cascade. Your raw material to make all of your hormones is cholesterol. It's then converted to pregnenolone, and then it is converted into different cascades that go down the stress hormone pathway. Cortisol, for example, that is an adrenal hormone. You make aldosterone along that similar pathway. You make, in the central pathway, you make more male or masculinizing or lean muscle maintaining, such as testosterone, DHEA. And then on the third aspect, you make more of the estrogen level type hormones, estradiol, estrol, estrone. Women make more estrogens than a man, but they still make testosterone. Men make more testosterone than they do estrogens than a female. Problem is, for a lot of women with polycystic ovarian, that process becomes inverted, and a lot of other disorders, weight gain. For men, that process becomes everted. It goes the other direction. They're pumping out more estrogen via chemicals, weight gain, adiposity, inactivity, lack of physical exercise and activity, too much alcohol, the wrong foods, too many rancid fats, deep-fried fats, etc. And now this propagates the process. But make no mistake, let me come back to stress. Stress plays a huge role. The higher your cortisol levels are, the higher your production of cortisol, that will begin to impair and imbalance your ability to maintain your hormone levels well and efficiently. Men's hormone primer. Number one, we covered what the importance of this hormone means to men. I got into a little bit about testosterone, free testosterone, not much on estrogen, estradiol, about that, but that affects your prostate, and I do want to talk about that. The primer 2 discussed why is it low, why do we have this issue with low testosterone in men, why is it so rampant today. This is not a commercial, this is not a low T commercial on TV, these are truly the facts. Thirdly, I want to misconceptions. Is it dangerous? What about estrogen? What about DHT? What's the difference between total testosterone and free testosterone? How does it affect my prostate gland? How does it affect my hair? So stay tuned for Joe DiMatteo of the Ask the Pharmacist group on Male Hormone Primer number 3. That'll be next up. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.